Hey seniors, this is Mr. Borchard, and today I'll be walking you through different aspects of your college list. I'm going to cover topics such as why it is important that the college list is the first thing that you finalize, the types of schools that your list should contain, and how to add colleges to the list of schools you are applying to, as well as how to be able to virtually visit these schools during COVID-19. So let's get started. So why should my list be the first thing I complete? Well, if you are not sure of where you're going to be applying, or at least have a really good start on your list, you will not know when the applications are due. Some applications you can submit right now, others are due October 15th or November 1st. Other deadlines may not even be till January. So it is important to get this list taken care of so you can plan out how you're going to approach this application season. With there being so many types of deadlines, please check out our other video on deadlines with Mrs. Bryden to get a better understanding of what is going to be the best choice for you. So I realize that there always seems to be a panic or a rush to go out there and ask your teachers for recommendations. But you need to know that we instruct our teachers to say no to any student until your list is complete. Why would we do that? Well, you need to make sure that you need them. For instance, UCs, Cal States, and many large colleges do not want letters of recommendation. Writing letters is something that the teachers and counselors often do on their off time. And there is no easier way to upset your teachers or your counselors than by asking for a letter of recommendation and then finding out after we've written it that you don't need it. You got to keep in mind that it takes me on average about 4 to 5 hours to complete each one of your letters of recommendation because we're trying to make it so individualized to you. And we want to make sure that you have a balance of your schools on your college list. When the spring comes, we want you to have a hard choice. We want you to have a hard choice between all those schools that you got into. And in order to have this, it is important to have a balanced list that will give you the best chances possible. So let's talk about what your list should consist of. Now, you've heard this before in many of our meetings about reach, target, and safety schools, but I want to go through these real quick with you. All right, so the first thing is that we want you to have 1 to 2 reach schools. And those are the schools that may be a little bit more challenging to get into, but they have always been maybe a dream of yours. Perhaps your GPA is just under what the averages are, or maybe the school has a low acceptance rate. It doesn't mean you shouldn't apply, but we don't want your whole list to be comprised of reach schools. Your fit or target schools. These are schools where their average GPA and test scores, if you are submitting any, are right around where yours are at. They have a higher percentage of acceptance for students just like you versus the reach schools. This should comprise the bulk of your list. And then lastly, you have your academic or financial safety schools. In these situations, you are well above what the average GPA and test scores are. They have high acceptance rates for students just like you. These types of schools are also the ones that may offer you more merit-based aid because your averages are so much higher than theirs. Keep in mind that many private schools, although the sticker price could be a little bit higher, may actually turn out to be lower priced than even some UCs or Cal States because they tend to give so much more money for merit-based aid. Maybe you have them as a safety school because they're a Cal State school and the lower sticker price is something that is appealing to you in case you don't get the financial aid packages that you're hoping for from other schools. And we also want to make sure that you're not going too crazy with your list. We would love for you to keep it anywhere from 8 to 12. And the reason we do that is because if you have done your research on these schools and your list is balanced, this should be plenty of schools for you to be applying to. You have to keep in mind that all these applications cost money, with an average price of anywhere from $65 to $70. Just applying to 10 schools will cost you $700 just for the application. So now let's talk about how can I figure out if a school is a reach or a target or a safety. So on Naviance, you guys are all aware of a lot of the great features that are there. So this screenshot right here is from the University of California in Davis, okay? And this is our sample student that we did, but at the top, you'll see an idea of how many students from Chaminade have applied there over the past 5 years, their acceptance rates, and how many ended up enrolling there. The scattergram below is probably one of my favorite things. With me being a very visual person, I find this very helpful. This shows you again all the students from Chaminade in the past 5 years that have applied to Davis. All the red X's are students that got denied. The green check marks are the students that got accepted. And those purple circles are the students that got put on their wait list. All right, so you can kind of see in this situation, there is one little blue figure right here, and that represents where our sample student is. So if you take a look at any of these schools, this little blue figure will show up where you're at. So you can get a pretty good idea of where you're standing compared to other students that have applied and either gotten in or not gotten into a particular school. All right, so now hopefully you have an idea of some of the schools that you want to be adding on to the ultimate list of schools that you're going to be applying to. So how do you do that? Well, I want to walk you through how to do this. And what we're going to do is we're going to jump on to Naviance. So here is your screen that pops up when you first log into Naviance. So there's 2 ways you can add schools ultimately to right here where it says the colleges I'm applying to. The first way you can do that is under the colleges I'm thinking about. Now, if you've been really good about updating your list and adding new schools onto the colleges you're thinking about during your time at high school, then you can do it from here. So let's say you know you want to apply to Arizona, LMU, and Oregon. You'd select these schools, and then you're going to go to Move to Application List. Okay, and that's going to automatically move these schools over to the application list. All right, so I would just hit Add Applications, and they pop up here. All right, so now you can see we're in the colleges I'm applying to, and these are all the colleges that you've added in here, and these are the ones that you've identified as, hey, I'm going to apply to these. What this will allow you to do is then to go in, and if you hit Edit, so if we're looking at Arizona or CLU, let's look at CLU, and you hit Edit, this will allow you to go in here and select the type of deadline you're going to do as well. And the deadlines in here are only the ones that the school is going to accept. So there's not going to be any in here that you're like, oh, well, I didn't know they had that deadline. It shouldn't be popping up here. Okay, so you're going to select it. So let's say you wanted to do early action there. You can save the application and it's there. Okay. If you need to add a school in here that wasn't on the colleges I'm thinking about list, it's really easy to do. You hit this plus mark, you type in your school, and it's already on our list, but you'd be able to select this, add application, and it pops up to your list, okay? So, if you are using some outside program to keep track of what colleges you're applying to or anything, that's fine, but we need to make sure that you're adding it over to Naviance. And the reason for that is, if the schools are not in here, then I can't see where you're applying, I can't see your deadlines. If you're going to be asking teachers to send letters of rec, they won't be able to send any letters of rec because it's not in Naviance. So anything you have somewhere else needs to be all put together in Naviance so that we can send everything that we need to. All right. The other thing I wanted to show you here is a quick way to get to the scattergram. So let's say we're looking at CLU and you want to get to that scattergram. If you hit more, the scattergrams are right here. And this will give you all the information that you need to kind of judge on whether or not this might be a target, a reach, or a safety. And keep in mind, this is not the end all. Okay, so if your little blue figure, which is right here right now, is right here, that doesn't mean you can't get in. It just means that it might be a little bit tougher. Okay, maybe your chances aren't as great. But you can see here at CLU, there's a lot of green check marks down here, even where there's a lot of red X's. So depending on what you have on your application and maybe some of your extracurriculars or something like that, maybe that can have a huge impact on your chances of getting into that particular school. Okay, so now you have your schools all on your list of the colleges you're applying to, but maybe you haven't had a chance to visit them. So the big question we always get is, well, how can I visit them when COVID-19 is happening and all the schools are closed and whatnot? Well, there's a number of different ways that you can still visit colleges. Okay, just about every college across the country now has opportunities for you to do virtual tours on their websites. I've even seen some where you're walking around with one of the tour guides and you're able to ask questions. If a school, for some reason, doesn't have one, or you want to see a different perspective, there are some other sites that you can go to that allows you to do these virtual tours. So for instance, you have uvisit, campustours.com, campusreal.org. All those will be opportunities for you to go and visit those schools. Many have student forums that you can go to, and this is an opportunity for you to kind of get a better idea of what student life is like. A lot of times when you're talking with the tour guides, they have to follow certain scripts. They're not allowed to answer certain questions, things like that. But a lot of times in these forums, they don't have the same restrictions, and they may be able to give you some more real life commentary on what life is like at that school. And we're going to continue to have those college representatives visiting Chaminade almost every single day. So if you guys remember in your junior year, we had, I think, over 130 colleges visit our campus in the fall, and it's looking like we're going to have the similar amount, virtually, of course, this fall. So we already have colleges signing up. There's going to be a lot of emails going out and notifications about which colleges are coming so that you can attend our little short rep visits with them. But it's a great opportunity for you to get questions answered, get your name out there, and learn a little bit more about that school. The other thing that we have, and we've already sent out information on, are virtual college fairs, like for instance the one that NACAC is putting on. So I put the link on here, but if you check your Blackboard page or you check an email that I sent through Naviance, this will give you the link to these virtual college fairs. I believe they have 4 as of right now, and you can go on there and sign up for them, and then they'll be putting out the list of colleges that'll be attending. And again, it's a great opportunity for you to go and talk with those reps. Okay, so a lot of information, but this is where you need to be starting. You need to get this list done. You need to do all these things so that you're prepared for the next step in the college application process. But I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and please reach out to your counselors with any questions you have about your college list.